SEO and AI Pivot in iGaming.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. All right. Thanks, everyone. So I would like to start a bit of an introduction to the people we have here, starting from John. Please give just a quick introduction on yourself.
My name is John Wright. I'm the CEO and co-founder of StatsDrone, and I've been iGaming for 24 years, former SEO consultant. And yeah, we're a data company, and that's what we do.
Hello, my name is Stefan, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of FieldStream AI. I'm not an engineer, but I began working with the AI 2017 and starting to figure it out. Thank you.
Thanks, Stefan. Good afternoon. My name is Keet Rappenet. I'm a senior manager at Deloitte, predominantly focused on enterprise technology, data, and AI, and that's how I'm helping clients out.
My name is Sean Bianco. I'm the founder at Game Changer. We're an affiliate and an agency, so effectively we help casinos and other verticals build their own traffic or just sell them FTDs, right? So my life is the war on the SERPs.
All right. So it's all star panel today. So guys, I mean, we've seen it for the last 20 years. SEO has been, slowly the same. We know it, as used to it, but AI disruption is coming. So we're going to see a clear change coming up. So yeah, the first thing I want to do is let's debate a little bit about if predictive analysis on SEO is coming to an end or not. And yeah, so on to ask Sean first. So as the SEO guru over here, you live quite a little bit by forecasts, I would say. Do you think that data will play a role in tomorrow's answered summaries with AI?
You can only plan forward if you look backwards and you see what's happening right now. So what changed with SEO recently is, this thing that SEO is changing in the next 5 years is a load of BS. It's changed over the past 3 years. It's been changing consistently since then. And we're moving more from a model of having long-term assets to having assets which pop up and disappear quite fast. So when it comes to am I able to predict how I can get players consistently for a casino operator, my thought process has to be what's working right now, what's showing up at the top positions, and how are they operating. So when you're looking at this, in the past you'd have, let's say, like a casino.org, right, that builds authority over many, many years. But that's not working as well as it used to anymore. So awesome. What is working right now? So those assets still have value, of course, and they're still very big brands. But if you look at the SERPs and you're looking at acquiring customers from search engines, you're seeing that sometimes the search engines change every 3 hours. Okay, so you have expired domains being purchased, you have canonicals being provided, 301 redirects, everyone's hiding everything they're doing. So to answer your question, if you don't look at the data of what's happening, which is a lot of the time also hidden, then how can you actually think about implementing a strategy which is going to work today? Now, can you say that this is going to last, for the next 2-3 years? No, that day's gone. Those days are gone. So nowadays, awesome. You have to look at things from a perspective of, this is what I do to get it to rank, and this is what I do when something goes wrong.
All right. So, John, your business is the click. I mean, you're getting affiliates, saving their revenue. So, how do you think AI is going to impact that as you go along?
I think about it in a different way where it's can people use AI to optimize their business, or can they use that to build a better product or a better service? I think this is what we have to do. So what we're experiencing on our side from our customers is that some of them are saying, you know what, I know I'm not going to get better with SEO because, as Sean said, the casino.orgs, they're just not everywhere. So they're I need to make sure every click counts. And I think what we're going to see is everyone spend more time looking at every single click going, if I know this click is worth maybe 10, 20 euros on average, then that's money. And the second you see that money leak, that's your mistake. And I think with AI, it's choose your own adventure. You can use it for creating data sets that don't exist, which becomes your content, which builds links, which then builds authority. That's one example. You can use it for, if you're a streamer, there's infinite applications here. I think it's going to come down to who's got the skills and who's good with data and who can use this to compound. I think it's these people are going to be the ones that gain, and they're going to gain at the expense of the people that are kind of going, I can't figure this out, or they're too slow to react.
Awesome. Awesome. And Kurt, I would follow up on that. What do you think, how do you think AI, so you're on the data side along with Stefan. How do you think that the data side due to AI search is going to be killed off, or you think it's more important than ever?
I think we live in a very interesting time, Mark, at the moment. I mean, I think the click is
More
still
up.
relevant.
More up.
The click is obviously still much relevant, right? I think the type of data that we're currently looking at now is just, one segment of it. But I think what we're missing off is a totally different set of data sets, historical data sets. So I think our field is evolving, how I see it. I think historical data is more relevant than ever. We're seeing player behavior, loads and loads of data, which is perhaps not used too much. So I think the way that we are searching now is also changing. And if we manage to actually get player behavior, understand customer journeys, looking at the way customers are on board onto platforms and using that data in a better way, I think then we start looking at the current data that is being used in AI models and understanding, okay, what is actually being predicted by the AI models, by the LLM models, what is actually being cited on those models. So I think if we manage to understand how LLM models work, then obviously search can actually become more relevant. Now, if you combine the historical data and trying to understand how these AI LLM models work a bit better, I think that's the future that we need to bridge. We've started seeing this over the last 2-3 years, and I think we're still there. We're perhaps not there yet, but I think that's the current bridge that now we need to come across as well.
Amazing.
Stefan,
And Stefan, you're quite the authority on, on search. Your algorithm is used by Google on predicting the future. So give us a little glimpse of the future, Stefan, and what we should expect based on your thoughts about this.
The Nobel Prize of Economics 2020 was P1 times Q1 equals B2 times Q2. It means that if you move the quality score from the first advertiser, you get the higher quality score, the lower price you pay. It's the most beautiful algorithm in the universe, and it's the AdWords pricing mechanism. They built an entire ecosystem on the click. 50% of Q is click. That's the foundation. It's 20 billion a month. It's the foundation. Google has launched a competitor product of mine called Meridian. It's an MMM product where they take all signals, also not just the click. The click has been a weak signal for 15 years. Even since like the third-party cookie deprivation, the ad fatigue, everything has been going down. Now with generative AI, the whole game is changing, and Google knows it very well. Just you have to add a lot of other signals to make the prediction accurate. The click won't go away. There's too much legacy, but you have to find other sources to measure it towards. Once you get stuck in it, you will just bid at the very end, and it's extremely costly, and you will lose, right? So it's changing really rapidly. And yes, you have to use the background the last year or two to predict the future, even if it's just the coming week.
Amazing. Okay, so we can see that the old game is changing, but with AI we have new opportunities ahead of us. So, John, to you. As affiliates, you see the front lines. And if you had to look at, considering the way generative AI search is going, and from a potential, maybe black hat point of view, where do you see where do you see that going?
What do you mean by in terms of like the black hat? Like the comparison
Like
of?
with the generative, the way that AI search, when you search using AI,
That's a tough one because I think what we're seeing right now is a hot mess of results. I do think maybe in the short period of time, Google's going to get its act together. But while that's happening, I think we're going to see other models kind of take over a little bit, like ChatGPT. I'm a big fan of Claude. I just think it's a hot mess. Like I'm actually doing a lot of analysis on looking at what's happening in the world of parasite SEO, and it just flooded. So I'm basically looking at Ahrefs data, pulling all the links, linking to operators, and parasite SEO is like fully taken over. And everyone's kind of making a big joke of it. Like Sean said, this is going to be a short term, but they're just printing money. So what is the answer? I don't quite know, but I think Google's at least kind of going, they're understanding that the way people are searching for things is changing. Like ChatGPT, it's used in a totally different way than Google. I think Google's end game is they just want people to pay for clicks. You're coming for intent. Intent isn't going to go away, but we're also seeing a major shift where social's kind of taken over, and that's also becoming its own pseudo search engine. Like I trust social more as a means of going, where am I going to get my trusted sources? Google's going to have to fight for that, and I think we're in a weird zone where I think people don't always trust Google results, and maybe even AI results, right? How can I get trust? Trust, I think, is going to come from social signals. This is going to be a weird ecosystem where is Google going to be happy to work with Facebook? Like Google feels threatened by Facebook and by other of these social tools. So I think it's a catch-22. It's a hot mess, and it's like I think social is going to be a big factor moving forward.
Sean, same question. Do you feel that you agree with John over here, and what do you think about that line of AI search, Black Hat, and what John discussed?
There's never been a better time to be a black hat than right now. That's the short answer. So, I mean, as you mentioned, we're talking about a business model which has pretty much been 20 years of a top list, right? So that's how it's been working for 20 years, that you have this old way that we know how to see information. We click on that result, we read for ages, don't get the answer, and click on something else. So that's been the status quo for 20 years, and it's better than what there was previously, right?
All right, so leading on to that, Stefan, since you're in the analytics side, you know, nowadays there is quite a few, let's say, ways to generate content with AI. So we're going into a bit of a LLM versus Google's LLM scenario, I would say. How would you recommend to a company, you know, to compete on, you know, with these type of things where people can generate and spit out 5,000 articles in a few hours, and how does that change the game?
I have measured how people value creativity in advertising, and an ad that's perceived as creative by the audience get 500% increased breakthrough into your consciousness. That's a lot. There's a lot of savings and discussions now going on how to make creativity like streamlined and just make these models great. You still need to use your best creative people to create the foundation, because there will be so many poor creatives out there over the next year that's machine created. The ad fatigue will explode, and the advertising will die.
And
there's loads of content now as well. I mean, jumping on what Stefan said, the amount of content that there is out there, we're almost in a world now where my AI is better than your AI is better than my AI. So it's almost like
my AI is better than your AI.
I'm pretty sure, you know. And you know, it's quite strange because you mentioned I can generate 5,000 reviews in an hour. How authentic is that? You know, you get to a point, you know, humans are typically messy compared to AI, which is built, or maybe more sophisticated and is built to be, you know, more predictable. The more predictable it is, let's say, the more sophisticated it becomes, and the better it is when it's actually giving out results. So behind every model, there's metadata, and I think that's what we need to, let's say, start understanding better. There will be tools, and Google is working on this already, where you're actually flagging out, you know, content which is AI generated. So we get to a point where you go to the top 10 casinos and you say, okay, which of these top 10 casinos have the best reviews? If most of the reviews are AI generated, and then they're not even backed by links to your customer journeys on your enterprise data, how will you actually generate your marketing campaigns? How will you actually do personalized content? So I think this is, let's say, the world that we live in now, and I think there's a lot of content generation just because we want to become better, we want to go there faster. We're not willing to wait and build up profiles, build up brand authenticity. So I think we are in a state where some brands will win long term, and others will, let's say, rise, but then because they're not authentic, because they haven't really penetrated the market beyond 5,000 reviews, what will happen to them in a couple of years' time? Will they survive? Do they have the right product in place? Can you link that back to customer journeys?
I mean, let's be clear also, though. I mean, search engines came up with algorithms to penalize mass-generated content 2 years ago. And like now you're seeing that happen on the video side also. So if you go on TikTok, you see a cat attacking a tiger, and all these crazy things happening all the time. And they're going to increase, so it's going to get worse. But then the algorithms are going to improve to identify AI content which doesn't drive any value and push them down. So when there was the gold rush of AI in SEO, because SEO was one of the first industries to be hit by AI because it was just, democratized access to removing 90% of content writers, the internet was flooded with more information than Google could deal with. And it became expensive for Google and other big monopolies to deal with that amount of data. And the quality of the search results just decreased significantly also. So, and the value that customers were getting sucked. So there was no real value over there. So the algorithms always catch up when there's something being manipulated at scale. And they always then penalize, as an example, 5,000 casino reviews. You trigger 5,000 casino reviews in 1 month, you're going to trigger a velocity algorithm, which is going to algorithmically penalize you, and you're going to get wiped out. So,
and just to take these three ideas and fuse them together with an example, it's like, okay, casino reviews, there are a dime a dozen, but let's look at another data point, casino complaints. There's like 50,000 casino complaints out there, and there's a lot of really rich data inside there. So imagine using AI tools to build a data aggregator to aggregate all this stuff, because Google, as far as I know, is not aggregating. They have all the data, but that requires a lot of processing, like a lot of work. You build that, and it goes back to what Stefan said, which is you need creativity to come up with these ideas. So you're creating new data sets from existing data, and you're compounding it. Google can't really give you the best recommendation other than from what it's aggregating currently, but imagine aggregating this from a set of complaints, which is a unique data set, and then once that goes out in the world, you can actually spin even more content from it. So it's a hybrid of using data tools to build more data sets, and it all comes back down to creativity.
Yeah, and the mentality that I can do more is always going to hit you in the long term, then I'm going to do something which offers more value.
Amazing. So to me, it sounds like the main argument here is clearly to double down on data, right? So I'm going to throw questions now towards the whole panel, and people can pick it up as we go. So with AI, what is your guys' personal new plan for your companies? Let's go a little bit deeper here. Let's go off script, as we say. What is your personal plan with this new AI search for your companies to rank on SEO? What do you guys plan to do?
I'll start first. We're a B2B company, so we have, in my opinion, we're people are problem aware but not solution aware. So we have to do SEO in a different way, but we have less competition. I think if I had to go back into like the B2C space or be an actual online casino, if I was an online casino, I'd be super excited because I think most of the operators are lazy when it comes to SEO. Affiliation is where it's super competitive, and I think we'd have to talk about the ideas that we're doing earlier. What am I doing personally about AI? I'm building my own products and services where I'm trying to build stuff that amplifies the value of what my company does. So I'm trying to come up with ideas and go, what can I do that's going to add more value to the customer? That's a mini product that just keeps feeding inward. For me, as long as it satisfies my whole mission objective, then I'm happy and I'm not doing a project that's distracting. And my job as co-founder is I need to be the leader. I need to get my hands dirty. I need to go in a place where I'm very uncomfortable and do the stuff that I know what this guy does. Same thing when it comes to Sean, when it comes to SEO. So it's, I do have to work a bit harder, but I see a massive opportunity. I'm super excited.
Yeah. Open question.
So a lot of companies aren't ready for AI. So if you don't have your basic SOPs and your business model is running on people running like headless chickens and you hire people to figure out how to do something, which is quite a majority of companies, then AI is not going to do much for you at this stage. So the way that I see it is first figure out your SOPs, figure out how to standardize everything you're doing internally, and then utilize AI components in workflows to reduce the amount of human suffering which is required to implement things. Then there's the other side, which is not looking at it from the workload side of things, but looking at it from the training side of things. And I'm not going to reveal more on that for obvious purposes, but if you have the time, the capability, and the resources to train something, and also the guts to train something to achieve a goal, and then explain to it why it didn't achieve it the right way, why it was going around, the compounding effects of that over time can be fantastic for any business.
Amazing. So, Kurt, go ahead.
I think I would look at it in two aspects. So one aspect is understanding the LLM models that are out there, which, as Sean was saying, it's a continuous evolution of it at the moment. So I think trying to keep up with that and trying to understand it as you go along. There's so many different models that are used, the Claude, the Gemini, the ChatGPT, etc. So I think it will take us a while to actually, let's say, understand how things are being predicted within AI models which are used, let's say, more publicly. So I think that's one element of it, and it's starting to be good to understand how your brand ranks on these AI models, how things are being cited on these AI models, how things are being referenced, what things are being looked at, how search is changing as well. Historically, you used to put some keywords on Google. Now we put a question and we say please after as well. So I think this changes the way that we actually search for information as well. The other element of it is looking at your own enterprise data as well. If there's something that you can't control, how a customer is actually interacting with your brand, how the customer is recognizing your brand, how the customer is getting on board on your brand, I think the next best thing to do once they are onboarding is how to actually improve retention, how to actually improve customer value. And I think this is how things change for marketers out there as well. Improving the CLV, improving, let's say, the onboarding process, improving, let's say, the deposit ratio, improving, let's say, the customer experience on platforms as well. So I think things are changing, and I think we need to evolve as things change as well. And I think there's a long way to go as well.
Perfect. So, Stefan, question towards you. And this might be a hard one for most, but I know it's going to be an easy one for you. So you, as we said, you're working a lot on prediction. Now, we know an AI, an LLM, is basically a fancy word for something that's finding the next best, word pattern inside of it. So, in itself, an AI is a pattern, right? An LLM is a pattern. So, do you think that, considering that you are going to be focusing in the future with your company, predicting the future, recognizing the patterns of those LLMs that Google has created or others for the search side of things?
I mean, we're already using generative AI to interpret all the data in our models. So we use both predictive and generative AI. I mean, I think that's fairly standard for any AI company today. So, but remember that they are still large language models, not large statistical mathematical models, right? So the mathematical forecasting, they are not good at that today. That might change, and then I'm out of business. That's the truth. But they are not good at building a deep neural network by itself and see connection points between 5,000 data points. It's not good at that. We are good at that. So until they figure that out, I feel completely safe. They are excellent in taking all the data points from a qualitative standpoint and giving an analysis so a marketeer can understand. So that's what's happening. I just want to add to the previous question, was real quick. that the main problem so far has been like new customer acquisition has been made to any cost possible. iGaming has been really weak at looking at the revenue of each player over time. So acquisition and retention has to merge. You have to start with acquisition, then you start to look at what the true value is of all your cohorts. Then you start to market uniquely towards the cohorts. Then you start to get to pure revenue, and you're not willing to like bid all your end of the funnel marketing on really expensive keywords, because that's the killer in our vertical.
All right. So to me, it's quite clear that data is king and is going to be king for a long, long time to come, way beyond our lifetimes, maybe even. Cool. So moving to next topic. And this is a little bit of a different one. What are you guys doing when it comes to, for licensed companies, they cannot make big moves, right, in the market using AIs. So what tactics do you recommend for these larger, more licensed companies to compete with these other companies that maybe have powerful AI agents, smaller ones, that can do a lot of dirty work? How would your playbook be related to that?
Yeah, maybe I can start with this. I think it goes back to like understanding where you have an overhead and understanding if that overhead can be replaced with something which is more reliable, more scalable, and more cost effective. So it can be as silly as an HR process, pre-scanning CVs, making recommendations and scoring things, which is something that I think you had told me you had done quite a while back also. Can be as simple as understanding that there's a lot of brain-dead work in your operation which is actually pissing your employees off, and you have a high churn rate within your operation. Focus on that first, and focus on automating the shit that no one wants to do. And then once you get through that process, if you manage to do it successfully, which requires a lot of buy-in from quite a lot of different people, then you start thinking about AI as more of an infrastructure-based thing, not just a buzzword which everyone is talking about, like, hey, we need to move to AI. Like I said, if you don't have your SOPs in place, then what is AI going to do for you, right?
I think this is very interesting, and it's a very interesting topic that you now touched upon as well, because you're mentioning productivity, you're mentioning efficiency within organizations, and predominantly, let's say from my perspective, when I'm dealing with clients, it's what we are seeing AI being used mostly in as well. Productivity, efficiency, you're looking at mundane tasks that no one absolutely wants to do, and you're just literally automating them. I think that's, let's say, the nice thing about our industry, nice thing about what we're doing. I feel that the point where AI gets really good is when it becomes invisible, when it becomes inbuilt in any process that we're doing, becomes commoditized, it becomes easily accessible, and that's where I think all companies will start winning as well. Similar to how we started digitalizing financial systems, digitalizing CRM systems. And I think that's the point that we need to get to quite soon as well.
When we do our projects and we go in and work cross departments, there is a huge resistance to accepting the results, because each stakeholder has seen their data set for 10 years and they do not accept the new truth. So there's a lot of resistance in big organizations against new models. I think the big corporations must challenge themselves with agentic setups that are really pro-HR, like you actually include people, because right now the resistance is taking over. So the workflow that you want to harmonize is actually going in the other direction. I mean, you hear like big numbers from like Salesforce and Google, how much they save in time. But for everyone else who's not like a tech giant, I think there's a lot of fear out there, and people like resist the change and they want to stick to what they know and what they have done. And unless you start to understand the dynamics between a super smart agent, PhD level, that can do anything together with your team, you're going to be in real trouble. But if you crack that code internally, you will come out really strong. So that's the starting point, I would say.
I think maybe just from a big picture point of view, it's like when you think about what regulated has that is an advantage over the gray markets, is that they have access to more data they can get their hands on. Like Google is a gatekeeper, so is Facebook. So you got paid media that goes into intent, and that goes into more marketing. You've got your iPhone and your Android apps. You've got all these things that maybe you can start using AI and the data to say, okay, I'm going to start to curate this and get better personalization to target that user. I mean, YOLO just announced not long ago that they're saying we're exiting this market and we're going full on regulation. I think maybe that's maybe the one benefit we're going to see that no one's really talking about, whereas they're saying the gray markets are kind of where the money's at, but there might be some limitations of like you being able to actually partner with other companies and have data exchanges or something like that.
Okay, so we have seen now from this panel that data is not dead at all. We can see that things are predictive and will be for the future. So John, your platform is built to tackle revenue leak. And by aggregating affiliate data, right? As we move into a more AI-driven world where clicks could vanish and user journeys become harder to track, it's likely to get much worse. How does your company see such an important issue, and how would you tackle it in the future?
We're kind of encouraging people, not because we want to say, hey, use a product that we have, but there's other products like Rowdy, Volume that also do these things. Because every click matters, I think what you want to do is, Google has the ability to not give you traffic. So you really need to own your own data, and I think we're going to see more of this in the future. So when you start collecting, like you're an app, you have a sign up button, a login, or a newsletter, that's when you start getting that data. I think that's where we're going to see a whole bunch of things. Like it's not just affiliates are going to be able to use that to defend themselves against shaving or revenue leak. It's when you own that data, I think that's where the future is going to be moving towards, where it's going to become more aggressive, and then you get all the other benefits that come with it, like the personalization, and then your ability to start doing AI stuff. I just think it increases, but it'll probably start from there.
Awesome. All right, so we have a couple of questions which we can tackle. We have a little bit of extra time. So to all the panel and whoever wants to pick it up, so should we rely on AI content to stick to human written material for SEO?
Yeah, maybe I can take this one. Depends what content you're writing. So if you need to reference a lot of unique data and expertise, there's definitely value in having a human there. What I would recommend would be incorporating AI into your workflow for generating content. Whether that's editing after creation and research, but I would never recommend fully replacing the human. That said, I would also never recommend fully using a human either, because otherwise you're just wasting a shit ton of time, right? And let's be honest, like 90% of content writers in 2023 got wiped off the map. Okay, they were no longer needed. So create a workflow which includes an editing process, unless it's really editorial, important, data-driven, opinionated kind of content where it needs to be a little bit more meaty.
I like that last question there. It's like, I too want to know what your personal take is on all these questions.
Yeah, it took me a while. My laser eyes are no longer working as well. It took me a while to read it. But yeah, okay, we have a question asking to me what my view on this topic is, right? And I think that basically what I'm seeing from the AI world is that it's going to become natural for people are naturally lazy, right? So I feel like people are naturally going to go and just use AI for any questions they have out there. So using SEO to rank up is going to be important. And I think that for the most part, we're going to be looking a lot at the data points and trying to predict what those data points on those LLMs, because as you guys said, they cannot take in a ton of data ingestion at once in LLM. So they're obviously reading from some kind of algorithm in the back. This is the reality that is feeding to the AI to give these specific answers. So whilst from one side you can have what is the top best slots to play at, and you're going to get a list of them and probably links to them, changing and manipulating that is going to be key, I would say. And the way I see it is, one, inserting yourself early in training data for these LLMs, because whilst it's using an algorithm, I'm sure that You know, these LLMs are trained on data, Reddit, all these forums you have to get to post. You know, in the early days of AI, I would spend every morning writing to the AI how great my company is, right? And what happened is that as the new models came out, I ranked #1. Even though I was a startup at the time, you know, which is the best company in the world for this, it was ranking us first. So I think being on the training side, being and predicting the data is going to be essential for you to be able to rank up in SEO. And that is my personal opinion since they asked it. But yeah, so thanks everyone. Thanks John, Stefan, Kurt, and Sean for joining this panel. Really, I learned a lot. I hope that you guys learned a lot also. I'm impressed. Wow, thanks guys. Really cool.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.